Hello, I'm Parrish Alford. This is John Davis. This is Rapid Reaction from the Hugh Freeze press conference leading into the LSU game. A big rivalry game. If you'll hear a little laughter in the background, it's Robert Kayat and Warner Alford walking off almost arm in arm after we spent a few minutes with them just talking about this series and just what winning means to the community. And Robert Kayat said we could quote him in the fact that church attendance is up, JD, when you win. Sales receipts are up when you win. I mean, when you win, everything changes. Winning makes everything better for everybody all the time. The Rebels are 7-0, ranked number 3 going into this game. You know, what differences do you sense around the community?
Well, there's no doubt that the business community, because I've done specific business stories for the Citizen related to football, and football always brings in extra revenue. But when you have a number 3 ranked team, I'll tell you the biggest difference I saw just sitting in the Grove was the amount of Tennessee fans that came for the atmosphere of it all, and the fact that that was the 3rd largest crowd for the Tennessee game.
Right.
You know, and you've already had 2 top 10 team attendance records set in back-to-back games. What's it going to be like for Auburn? What's it going to be like for State? So some of the biggest differences that I see is just the amount of money, the amount of people that are just coming just to say they were here on the weekend that Ole Miss continues to win or whatever.
And I don't remember much from my economics class, but I do remember that that's called clean money. When people come from outside the community to inside the community and they spend and then leave. That's not taking money from your people that live here, your residents. Right. So, an economic lift when the football team is winning. That's what the Rebels are doing now. On the field, the Rebels going to LSU. Looks like, JD, you know, and I thought back early in the season when State went to Baton Rouge and just throttled LSU and was the more physical team. I looked at LSU then, I said, you know, they have the chance to put things together and play better by the time Ole Miss gets there at the end of October, and it looks like might be what's happening.
I think so. I think that they've gotten better. I'm a little bit of a grain of salt here.
Yeah.
I think Florida and Kentucky are completely different than if they had beaten 2 teams from the West. I mean, and you could throw anybody in from the West.
Well, and you look at their most recent West opponent; it wasn't very good at all.
Right, and you know, I think it could have been Arkansas and A&M. I would have been more impressed with than Florida than Kentucky. I thought Kentucky was better, and they didn't show me much. Maybe that is a little bit more from an LSU standpoint to look at. But I still think that you got to take those last 2 wins as good as they were. Especially the Kentucky game, impressive-wise, score-wise, I think you still have to look at it. I think they're better, you know, and they have true talented freshmen. I mean, these guys are true freshmen, but they're very talented. I think they're probably a lot better than they were a few weeks ago when State went down there. There's no doubt to that to me, but I still think Ole Miss, if they play right, should be able to take care of business.
Well, here's the thing. They look a little bit better. The Kentucky game, what was Kentucky's big marquee win? It was South Carolina. As Paul Feinbaum has said on his show, hey, everybody's going to have one of those.
Right.
You know, a marquee win over South Carolina this year with the Gamecocks being up and down as they have been. The other SEC win for Kentucky was Vanderbilt. They didn't play particularly good in that game, but look, that was a 5-1 team, an improved team. LSU obliterated them. They did what you have to do against that opponent at that time on your schedule. Now, looking at this Ole Miss game, Hugh Freeze sees a team that, you know, is a little more multiple defensively than the Tigers have been of late, showing some different looks, showing some things that they weren't doing earlier in the season. Not the case with the offense. Freeze expects a heavy dose of running the football from LSU for his defense. And, JD, I'm telling you, you go and look at the numbers. I think that's what LSU's going to do. I think they do it even more this game because Ole Miss leads the SEC in interceptions, because Senquez Golson has 7. They're not going to throw the ball over there at him with a quarterback that isn't that accurate to begin with.
No, it's going to be Fortnette. It's going to be different running backs. Hilliard obviously is still there. I mean, whoever can carry the ball is going to get it. And I think that Leonard Fournette has definitely gotten a lot more carries, a lot more confidence. He's a different running back now than he was at the start of the year. And I'm sure that's what they're going to do. I'm sure they're going to limit the amount of throws that they have. And, you know, this is a game where if LSU's going to win it, they're going to have to win field position. You know, and they're going to have to play really well. I mean, best game of the year so far on defense.
Yeah, and the Rebels are going to have to make sure they have a plan to stop the run, and that's where they're better. They're better they're better now than they were a month ago in stopping the run. All of a sudden, you look up and they're number 3, I think, in the SEC in run defense. You know, they hadn't been there, maybe number 2, so they're climbing in that category. Look at the last 4 games, how Ole Miss has performed against the run. Memphis under 60 yards, Texas A&M under 60 yards, Tennessee 0 yards, Alabama 168. I believe this will be the best rushing offense that Ole Miss will have faced since Alabama. They're going to get a steady dose of the run. They're going to have to come up with a plan to stop it. I think, JD, you're going to see the cornerbacks up near the line more.
Yes.
Understanding that LSU's not going to throw that much. You're going to get some very sure open field tacklers like Sinquez Golson and Mike Hilton very much involved in this plan to stop the run.
I don't think there's any doubt you're going to have extra guys from the secondary involved in the defense and closer to that box. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that's what you'll see. I think that if Coach Womack wanted to, this would be the game that he gets the most exotic or creative with the suspect play of the quarterback, or the up and down inconsistent play of the quarterback. I think this is the one game where you could be that much more exotic than you have been, and just because you want to have a chance to fool them into something. You know, these guys are starting to get a little better maybe, but this is the game where you throw them a little bit something that they hadn't seen on film, get a couple more picks for Sinquez Golson or Mike Hilton.
Well, and all this being said, the Tigers will take some shots, and it's usually going to be downfield in the passing game. They're not going to be looking for quick stuff. They're not looking to drive the ball down the field in that way. They'll take some shots deep in the passing game, something vertical, try and hit a big play after they've hit a bunch of runs into the middle of the line or what have you. Injuries, Hugh Freeze rattled off a list of guys who had different things, were banged up in different ways, one of them being Laquan Treadwell with the shoulder. Through it all, he says the only player who might not be ready for this game would be center Ben Still. He has an MCL sprain. If it's not Still, it'll be Robert Conyers. Do you think that changes anything?
No, I don't. And I think Bo Wallace said as good as anybody could. He didn't even notice the difference when they come in there. I think Robert Conyers, there was no doubt he pushed Ben Still all the way through the summer, and he's continued to get snaps there, and he's obviously gained more experience. So I don't think there's any loss there. I mean, you would like to have your ideal starter, ideally in there, but I don't think there will be that much of a drop-off, if any, with Robert Conyers in there.
Folks, that's it for this edition of Rapid Reaction. Stay with us on the blog this week. We'll have lots of good content there. Check us out at oxfordcitizen.com as well.